seconds before I kick this thing off properly. I see somebody's hit the like button, which is good. That's a good sign. That means somebody is here and they are liking what they see, which is actually fresh haircut, by the way, on top of my head there. Freshly cut hair. So, welcome to the Geeknd live from Los Angeles. And we have the TCL Chinese Theatre behind me, which I think is quite fitting, quite special, because of course this is a Star Wars YouTube channel. We're here to talk Star Wars, specifically the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 5. And in some ways, you could say this is where Star Wars all began, at least in terms of being exposed to the public of this city of Los Angeles. And I'm going to flip the camera over. You'll be able to see some footprints there from August the 3rd, 1977. So all of those pictures that you can see, if you Google Star Wars premiere Chinese Theatre Los Angeles, you'll see some of the pictures of the stars there and the fans camping outside. So there's Anthony Daniels, C-3PO, footprints there, droid prints, Darth Vader. I assume it was Dave Prowse in the... I guess it wasn't actually. Probably wasn't. Maybe they'd fallen out at this point because Dave Prowse's name is not there. So it was probably just someone dressed up as Darth Vader. And R2-D2. Kenny Baker's name's not there, so I assume it was just the droid, not the human within, that was here on that occasion. So yeah, outside the TCL Chinese Theatre here in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard, and we are going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 5. Going to move away from the traffic a little bit over here, and also I'm going to introduce a guest. I have a live in-person guest, which I think might be a first. Obviously I've had lots of guests on the channel, but I don't think live in-person guests. So I'm going to introduce my guest, who regulars of the stream will recognize in comment form and actually video clip form as well, because he has been responsible for the clips that I've been playing in when I give my final thoughts, my final evaluation of each chapter of the Book of Boba Fett. It is David Milano in the flesh. David Milano, how are you?
Hey everyone.
It's good to see you.
Likewise, man.
Yeah.
You're like in my backyard.
I am literally in David Milano's backyard. Not quite literally, but he is a citizen of this city. You're from LA, born and bred, right?
Yeah,
LA? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you are regular to the stream, you might recognize David, regular in the comments, and has created those video clips as well, which unfortunately I can't use today, but we've got the man himself here.
Yes, I'm subbing in for the clips.
Exactly, we've got the human replacement for the clips, the creator of the clips. You know, it doesn't get much better than that, because I'm doing this from the YouTube app as opposed to StreamYard, because the internet here is not quite as strong as it was last week when I was in Mexico. Just going to see if I can see some comments, and then we'll get started on talking about the Book of Boba Fett. All right, I can see Mark O is here, Oppo and Sis is here, Jane Flakes, and also David Milano's in the comments as well as being here in person, which is just crazy. So they're the comments that I can see at the moment. I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, not quite sure how it works on this app, but anyway. Also, Power Droid Girl's here as well. Well, hey to you, good to see you. So apologies to those in the Discord group for the Patreon. I haven't replied to the messages in regards to the specifics of this chapter because I only saw it a couple of hours ago, so I was avoiding spoilers. So, let's talk about it now. The Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5.
The Return of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, the Return of the Mandalorian, and this really felt like the Mandalorian Season 2.5, Chapter 1 in a way, didn't it?
It totally did. Yeah, this was a okay episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but a fantastic episode of the Book of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely up there with one of the best episodes of the Mandalorian, despite actually not being an episode of the Mandalorian. It's kind of confusing in a way.
Yeah, there was just so much stuff from like start to finish that was fantastic, new content. I mean, there were so many references to other films in the series, and like all the little Easter eggs, like when the BD droid, you haven't played the video games like Fallen Order.
So you got to educate me here.
Okay, huge fan of Fallen Order, and you have a BD droid in that game that's your little street.
Yeah. No, it's one of those episodes. I know you've already watched it a number of times, David. I'm going to have to go back and do a rewatch. And I've just seen Chad has popped up on the comments. And Chad said after chapter 1 of this series that he felt this is going to be a great series to binge when it's all said and done. And I agree with that. So I'm looking forward to having a big binge. But this is definitely a chapter that needs a rewatch, which I am going to do in the next few days. So how do you think this is? Because obviously we had the most blatant tease as to what or who was going to appear in this chapter last week.
Right.
I kind of personally felt that he would pop up at the end, or maybe he wouldn't even pop up until the next chapter. You know, the message would go out to him, maybe he's busy, and then comes in and helps at the last minute. But they did not mess around. It was, you know, from second one, it was all about Din, wasn't it?
It drops you right into it, and you just follow him around. It has, for an episode that has so much content in it from start to finish, like the Siege of Mandalore and like seeing all this stuff that we've only heard about, it leaves you with a bunch of questions, because it's like, what happened after Luke took Grogu? Like, what happened on Moff Gideon's ship? We know that Moff Gideon went away with the New Republic, but it's like, what happened with Bo-Katan? What happened with everybody else that was there? So there's just a lot of like lingering questions from the last season of Mandalorian, but then it's just chock full of a bunch of stuff going on in this episode.
Yeah, and at first, because we see him in the middle of a gig, if you like, you know, he's doing some bounty hunting, I was sort of a little bit disappointed to see that, and I was starting to wonder how much time had passed since we last saw him giving up Grogu to Luke, because obviously, you know, we see him soften as the Mandalorian goes on, and he's literally giving out a quote from the very first episode of The Mandalorian, I think. I can either take you in, to paraphrase, I can take you in warm or cold, right? And it's like, oh, okay, he's gone right back to the beginning again in terms of his behavior. But then we soon see there are those intimate moments. He sees the kid Rodian, I think, on the transport ship, and you can see that he's thinking about Grogu. He literally mentions Grogu when he's with the armorer, so we can see that, you know, Grogu's still playing on his mind. And this is the one thing I did say last week, that I kind of hoped in a way that they would keep the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian separate, but now I'm like, nah, this is good, you can carry on. But I'm wondering now how they're going to do this with Grogu, because he says at the end, yes, I'll help you for free, mates rates, but I've got to go off and see somebody first. Now, is that something we're going to see when the Mandalorian officially picks up again, or are we going to see Grogu next week? I kind of don't. I feel like more time needs to pass before we see them reunite.
I agree with you that I feel like more time needs to pass, but I feel like the way that episode ends, it's almost like, I'll be right back, I'm literally going to go see Grogu, and then I'll be back to help you. It feels like that might be in the next episode.
But then, if we're following Din for another, you know, the majority of another episode, that's really taking it away from Boba Fett, of which this series, you know, is named after and is all about. So could this be something that happens off screen, and maybe we see as almost like a flashback when the Mandalorian picks up? I don't know. It kind of feels to me like, even though I'm much more invested in Din over this character that's, you know, been around for so many more years, I am much more invested in Din, and I'm happy to follow him. Wherever he goes, I'll follow him. At the same time, I feel like we have to go back to Boba now, surely.
I mean, I think a lot of the investment in Din is just because we've literally spent more time with him than we ever have with Boba Fett. And so there's just more. And also Grogu, let's be honest, like that cemented all of us in investment in The Mandalorian. But yeah, for something called the Book of Boba Fett, I do want it to get back to and sort of wrap that up. But I'm wondering where this fits in the larger context of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, and whether or not there's going to be another season of the Book of Boba Fett. Like, where will this episode fall in that? Because I feel like on its own, it feels a little bit out of place, but maybe in the larger context of what it means to be Mandalorian and like where they're going with whether or not they're going to return to Mandalore, this might actually make more sense once we have that context.
And also, if you're a fan of The Mandalorian but not watching the Book of Boba Fett, you're missing out on a great episode here, as we said, and also some small details as well. You know, he learns more about the Darksaber from the armorer. We see him training to use the Darksaber as well. There are some, you know, hope there's a way of telling people. I hope somehow when the Mandalorian season 3 comes out, maybe they even put this episode somewhere on the home screen for the Mandalorian for people to find.
You're going to want to watch this before you pick up with the Mandalorian.
Yeah. It's like a little prequel to season 3.
Have you watched any of Rebels?
No. This is a running theme throughout this streams. I haven't, David. I'm sure. I do. I will. I will. But I only recently caught up on the Clone Wars, so I could cover and watch the Bad Batch. And Rebels didn't happen. Now, a few of you who might be watching did suggest that when I had COVID fairly recently and was isolating, that's it. I now have no excuse.
It would have been a perfect time.
It would have been. But the thing is, I chose not to out of respect for you and Rebels in general because, and I can see Star Wars Megas just said, Jamie, you need to see Rebels. It's the superior animated Star Wars series. I'm going to do it. But the thing is, like when I was in my COVID slumber, I was just rewatching things. So I rewatched Better Call Saul, Ozark, because
you want to give it your full attention.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
I was napping and falling asleep, and I want to watch it and I want to talk about it when I'm watching it with you guys. So I kind of want to do it when I'm fully fit and not going to fall asleep.
So not to get into spoilers too much, but in Rebels they deal with the backstory a little bit of the ownership of the Darksaber,
right? Okay,
and also some training with using the Darksaber. And so I think that's what Din needs. He needs some proper training with that. And I'm kind of wondering, does Luke provide that? Are we going to end up seeing a little bit of dual training montage?
Yeah. How would you feel about seeing Luke back in, obviously, the age CGI form again, in the Book of Boba Fett or Mando season 3?
I mean, I'd be fine with it. And speaking of, actually, the actor who was the body double for Luke...
Was he an X-Wing pilot?
He was the X-Wing pilot.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's around, obviously, and why not?
Yeah, so he stood in as the body double for Mark Hamill and held all of the, like Ingvel Delia, who came on the channel once, was the young Leia in Rogue One. He had all the dots on him. I tried to interview him after, obviously, probably most of the Star Wars podcasts and YouTube channels.
Secrecy.
Yeah. I tried to interview him, and I have to tell you something actually, and I've said this before on the stream, but I tried to. So after that final episode of The Mandalorian season 2 came out, with obviously the big Luke reveal cameo, I reached out to the agent of the actor whose name I don't know off the top of my head, but anyway. The agent was really nice and replied, and agents often don't reply because there's not much in it for them when a YouTuber wants to interview them for no money, and he replied, and I remember he was really friendly, really nice, and he said, I'm going to talk to Disney and get back to you. And then he forwarded on the email that he got back from Disney, and it was something along the lines of, John and Dave want to sort of keep the lid on this for a while. And that made me think at the time, they're not done with him yet.
Yeah.
And I didn't think.
Like to join the next tour,
do you want to join the next tour, David? Any of you want to join the next tour with us? I don't think what they were protecting was the fact that he's going to show up next to Paul Sun-Hyung Lee as an X-Wing pilot. That's not what they would be protecting.
No.
I don't think they're done with him as Luke, basically, I think is what they're protecting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the mouse has him in a vault, and they just bring him out when they need to return Luke to the screen.
Yeah, which is kind of unfair, because he is an actor, and I'm not saying that appearing on the Geeknd is going to get him many acting roles, but you can't keep this guy in a box. He's eventually going to be in another film who he's going to have to do press for, and people are always going to say, oh, you also played Luke Skywalker, didn't you? He's going to have to talk about it sooner or later.
Well, and I'm sure that's when they have their, press agents come in. Nope, can't talk about this.
Yeah, I've been in the room, and I've been told that a few times. We've got a stormtrooper over there. I don't know if you can see, but
Death Trooper, nice.
Is it a Death Trooper? Is it Death Trooper? Yeah. So, going back to this chapter, give us your overall thoughts on it, David, and I want to know, because you were responsible for those cool clips we've been using, which we won't be using today, I'm afraid. Was it a Fett yeah, a Fett meh, or what was the last one?
Fetno.
And also, I want your scores out of 10 because we've been doing that as well. So let's have your overall thoughts, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of grading. And also, guys watching, I'm going to come to the comments in a moment in the chat. And if you're watching in the future, drop a comment as well on the replay and let me know your scores for Chapter 5 out of 10. So, David, over to you.
Yeah, no, this was a absolute top episode for me. Again, it was a fantastic episode of The Mandalorian. I would have to say this is a 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, I loved it from start to finish, obviously because we get to go back to seeing what the Mandalorian's been up to, but then also just all the beats of, like, he's got to fight Paz Vizsla. He's got to, get some more information from the armorer about what happened with Mandalore, and then we get to see that, and we get this, like, Terminator reference in the middle of the Siege of Mandalore, which is great. And then there was a bunch of other little, like when, I forget what the Amy Sedaris' character's name is on Tatooine, but the mechanic, when she's like fighting the Womp Rat and it like drags her behind, it's like Jurassic Park, and then later when he's test piloting the Naboo starfighter, it's like the Aviators. There's all these like film references dropped into it. The BD-1 droid, obviously, but yeah, it was wall to wall. Loved it.
Yeah. There was a lot of not just Star Wars Easter eggs in there, just movie pop culture Easter eggs in I
feel like
in
that's
general.
Grace Dallas Howard's sort of like addition to her episodes is there's always like little nods to other movies, other shows that we've seen.
I feel like she's getting stronger and stronger with her work on The Mandalorian.
No, they need to give her a movie at this point. Like, definitely, because I think she rides a good balance between obviously the action, but those human moments. Like you talked about the little Greedo kid on the back of the seat. That's who hasn't been on a bus or a plane and had that exact moment where like a little kid pops up, and then you see that tie into Din's feelings about Grogu.
Yeah, this episode of the Book of Boba Fett did do a lot for the Mandalorian. It did do a lot for Din, and it's tied up a few loose ends in terms of like his ship. And I didn't, when they had the sheet over the ship before she revealed it, I didn't recognize the shape under the sheet as like a Naboo starfighter. I thought it was a pod racer at first.
The first thing that I thought when I saw it, because again I wasn't thinking Naboo starfighter, the first thing I thought was like, is that like Grievous's ship? Because I remember Grievous had a ship that was kind of like that back in the day, but it was a lot bigger. But no, I love the Naboo starfighter. Like that's one of the things from prequels I totally loved, and so seeing like the stripped down hot rod version of it was super cool.
Yeah, no, it's done a lot, and it's. I mean, we don't know exactly how much Din's going to be involved now for the final 2 episodes, but it's really got me, excited for The Mandalorian season 3. And I'm almost forgetting that. Hang on, no, we're not done with the Book of Boba Fett yet.
No, we still got at least 1 or 2 episodes left. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to look at the comments and the chat. Hang on a second. Let's have a look. So I can see Brad, Supreme Leader Brad. Do you mind trying to do a very important live stream here and you keep banging on about your tour in the background? So Brad gave it, sorry for the delay, Brad gave it 10 out of 10. And also thought it was a pod racer, so it wasn't just me. Also Peter as well thought it was a pod racer. Now Peter, I know you were a bit disappointed. Thank you, David.
Screen.
Yeah, so David's actually got the live chat for me up on his phone now, which is much easier. So I know, Peter, you were a bit disappointed last week, so it'd be good to hear what you thought. Clay's is giving it an 8.7 out of 10. Spitfire Mark wants to see the Star Wars footprints. We did show it at the start, but I will, especially for you, show them again at the end. Don't worry, hold fire. Gaz Nottingham, 8.5 out of 10. Oh, Peter's giving it an 8 out of 10 for Mando season 2.5. Jane Flakes, 11 out of 12 for this episode. Blew us away. And Jane, I'm going to reply to your message as well on Discord. As I said, I was avoiding spoilers for, up until a few hours ago. Also, Jane on Rebels, it's the best yet. You have to dive in. I defy you not to cry with season 4, though. Well, we'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll see.
Good.
It's a tearjerker.
It's so good.
All right, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm emotionally, pretty unstable, so I imagine tears will be flowing. Star Wars Meg, we saw that from Meg earlier, actually. It's the superior animated Star Wars series, so I think we're
throwing the gauntlet down.
Yeah, but then there's agreement. I can see agreement from Brad there, 100% agreement with Meg. I think we're caught up. No, Power Droid Girl. Chapter 5 makes it obvious for any script kicking about for the Boba Fett movie was adapted and expanded to fill 6 episodes with bonus Mando season 3 teaser. How do you feel about that, David?
Yeah, I had heard about that, and I was wondering like where that fits in with the production schedule for it. I've also heard people talking about that what they're doing with Mando's character, if they are building to Mando becoming Mandalore with the Darksaber and returning to Mandalorian, that it's sort of folding in some of Boba Fett's storyline from Legends, from the old like novels and comics. And so I kind of wonder like how much of that, once we're seeing all of this in context and we see like the next season of Mandalorian, how much all that's going to come together.
Yeah, because this is like the Mandoverse now, isn't it?
Right, totally.
We'll just go back up again to earlier. Let's see if I missed anything. Chad Campbell was here. Chad, the stopwatch Campbell. Hey, awesome stuff. He's at a seminar right now, but he's rated the episodes as a 9, possibly a 9.5. You know, I'm giving it an 8.5. I'm giving it an 8.5, but
that's high for you.
That's very high for me.
Yeah.
David is right.
No, that's like enthusiastic. That's jumping up and down and like, you know, waving your arms down like Kermit.
That is, which I'm not going to do, by the way. I'm not going to do, you know. But that's basically, 8.5 for me is basically a 10 out of 10 from anyone else. Yeah. But I've got a feeling, after a second viewing, which is going to happen in the next few days, I've got a feeling I'm going to be upgrading it to a 9. I've got a feeling about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got so much good stuff in it. It's heartwarming. It's got the action. I mean, seeing the starfighter like bank around the corner in the Beggar's Canyon, and you see the little gate that like I got crashed by Anakin. And it's like, oh my God, look at that. We haven't seen that in how many years?
Yeah, I love the respect. And this must be Filoni's input. I love there's a newfound respect for the prequels, you know, with large portions of the fan base, I think, but also within Lucasfilm. There's so many prequel references now, and, you know, I don't think you had that so much with the sequel films, but certainly with The Mandalorian and Bad Batch, you know, which I guess was closer in time period to the prequels. But I don't know, it seems to be a newfound respect, you know, on screen as well as off screen.
I don't want to go down a negative rabbit hole, but I had my feelings about the prequels when they came out. I will say that over time, watching Clone Wars, watching Rebels, playing Fallen Order, and some of the other content that's come out more recently, it's recontextualized the prequels and kind of allowed me to see like the best parts about them and kind of like, you know, the things that are prickly are still prickly. Oh, by the way, the fan edit that you sent me, I forget who.
Simon Drake.
Simon, awesome work. It was super good. I loved it.
Cool, man. I'll pass that on to him. I know Simon's not watching the Book of Boba at the moment, so he won't be watching this stream, but I will pass that on to him.
I have a longer email of thoughts. I'll send that over to you, and you can pass that along. But
cool.
Definitely good.
If you do that. I think I'm going to be moving this up to a 9. I'm pretty sure about that.
Oh,
so
we talked him up to a 9. All right, that's half a point.
No, not yet. After second viewing. No, after second viewing. No.
It's a preemptive.
You're a magical man, David, but you're not going to magic a 9 out of me just yet. All right,
I tried.
He did try, and he's failed for now. Can we just see the comments again, the most recent ones, David? Thank you for doing this, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Peter said the episode had a bit too much techno babble. I don't mind a bit of techno babble. Gaz Nottingham says we need to trust in Lucasfilm. Hearing complaints about lack of Boba. Is that now the new complaint online? I've been avoiding social media. The storytelling has clearly been mapped out. We need to chill and sit back for the ride. So are people now complaining online? Again, I've been avoiding social media. Is that what people are angry about this week? The lack of Boba in this episode?
I haven't seen too much of it, but I haven't really been looking for the negativity. My feeling about the new ones, because all of Boba Fett so far, I have been surprised around every turn. Like, I didn't know what to expect. And maybe it wasn't what I anticipated. I think we all went into this with a lot of like, oh, maybe they're going to throw Cab Bane in there. Maybe they're going to do this. They're going to do that. And, of course, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I think that's the lesson of these new shows is like, yes, we're all excited for it. We have a lot of anticipation, but just let it be and then see it in context and you'll have an appreciation for it. You'll like it or you won't. But the nice thing about this era that we're living in now, I know a lot of people complain about the, you know, Disney-fication of Star Wars or whatever. They're making so much more of it. Obviously, some of it's going to stick, some of it's not going to stick. But you wait a week, there's going to be more. There's going to be something you'll probably like.
Yeah, I think that's how it is now. You know, there's going to be Star Wars has been around so long now and is such a big vehicle, if you like, for producing content. Not everything is going to be for you. You know, not everything is going to be for you, but there will, I'm sure, be something for you out of the... you know, you might not like the Bad Batch, but you might well like the Book of Boba Fett. You might not like the Book of Boba Fett, but you might well enjoy the next movie they put out, you know, whatever that might 100%. Be. So, yeah, anyway, back to the comments. Spitfire Mark, I will show you the the Star Wars footprints, handprints in a moment as we wrap up. Oppo Francis says, not as big a fan of it as most so far. The lowest score I've seen anyway here, 6 out of 10 from Oppo there. And sorry if I've missed any comments. Oh, I think we've caught up. Oh, no, Rob Heaton, 9 out of 10. Great episode of The Mandalorian. And I think, Rob, you were a little bit disappointed with the series overall. So it's good to see that you've enjoyed this one. And Brad says, it might be old news, but did anyone recognize Din's banter with BD as dialogue from Han working on the Falcon? I think I missed that, but you've seen it 4 times, so did you catch it?
And it's also, it was banter from the game, from Fallen Order, because Cal totally has the same line when he finds a BD unit in that game.
Oh, we had Wizard as well brought back, didn't we?
Oh, yes.
I remember that. I definitely noticed that.
No, that was like, it's the perfect amount of cheese and like reference to the prequels, but also like totally appropriate because he's a prequel era kid. I mean, that's when he was growing up.
Yeah. And he made it sound cool, actually.
Yeah, he did.
Corny, but cool.
Yeah. You know, also, he did some barrel rolls, you know, because spinning is a good move.
Yeah. I think I saw, I don't know if I said Brad's score earlier, but 10 out of 10, an 8.7 from Clay's as well, 9.999 out of 10 from Power Droid Girl, and we definitely did Peter's 8 out of 10, Gaz Nottingham's 8.5 out of 10, which is the same as mine, and Jane's 11. So I think we're caught up with the comments. So I would at this point be playing David Milano's beautifully crafted clips, and I would be choosing the Fett clip, but I can't play it in for technical reasons. But David Milano, thank you for joining me. So if you've just joined us, I'm in LA for a few days on a little vacation, and David is a regular on the stream, pops up in the comments, and has been making clips as well for me to use recently. So you might recognize David's name, but now you can see most of his face anyway. Beneath the mask. There's the full face. There's the exclusive. So David came out to meet me here at the Chinese Theatre in Hollywood, and it's been a pleasure to meet you in person for the first time, David.
Likewise, sir. Absolutely a pleasure.
And if people want to find you online, I know you're on Instagram, and you sometimes put out some fun clips and what have you on your socials. How can people find you?
Yeah, on the YouTubes, I'm actually going to be posting more of this kind of crap, the phone case and the jacket. And,
can you hold up the phone case? I've seen Brad likes your phone case.
Yeah, you know, Disneyland built a Star Wars land, and so there's a need to have stuff to go hang out in it and play. So, you know, I'll be throwing up some of that stuff on the YouTubes.
So that's on your YouTube channel. Okay, so I will, when I get back to my laptop, I'm going to put a proper thumbnail on, and in the video description I'll link to your YouTube. But for anyone who's here in the moment and won't be returning, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Making This Up As I Go.
Making This Up As I Go. So search for that on YouTube, or come back to this video later or tomorrow, and I'll have a link to it in the video description. So David Milano, thank you again for joining me. And thank you everybody who's joined us live and also in the future, because a lot of you watch in the future. So I'm just going to, for Spitfire Mark especially, and for anyone else who's just joined, I'm going to give you a final look at the surroundings here, including the Star Wars footprints or droid prints from many, many years ago. So there's the exterior of the Chinese Theatre, the TCL Chinese Theatre on Hollywood Boulevard here in Los Angeles, California, USA. And actually the interesting thing is Harrison Ford is right by the Star Wars slab, and this is from 1992. So you've got Harrison Ford's footprints and handprints, but he's not on the Star Wars slab, which is from August 3rd, 1977. It's all right, don't worry. So you've got Darth Vader there. So I'm assuming it's not Dave Prowse, or Dave Prowse wasn't dressed up as Darth Vader at the premiere. Or wasn't even at the premiere, so maybe they'd fallen out at this point. It's just his Darth Vader, whoever was dressed up as Darth Vader anyway, just his boot prints, C-3PO, and it was Anthony Daniels. Whether he was in the suit or not, I don't know, but he wrote his name in the cement there. And finally R2-D2, but no Kenny Baker there. And there's Eddie Murphy, in case you want to see it. All right, so thank you everybody for joining. Next week we'll be back to normal. I'll be sat indoors. And there's a very happy Dark Trooper there. I'll be sat indoors to talk about the final 2 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and we'll get some guests as well. So this is the last on the road, in the field live stream. But I thought it'd be cool to do it from here, you know, as this is a special place for Star Wars history, if you like. So, thank you everybody. Take care, and we will talk next week. All right, so I'm doing this differently. Now I've got to figure out how to end the stream, all right? So goodbye from me, goodbye from David. Keep waving, David, while I actually need you to keep waving. Can you hold the microphone as well? You've got to wave with the microphone while I figure out how to end the stream. Keep waving, David. Keep waving.
Such a taskmaster.
I know. I make you work. All right, we're still going? Maybe I just do that. All right, I found out how to do it now. So final waves. There's a wave from me. Thank you, David.